I knew something was wrong the second I opened the front door. Not because the house smelled different, or because there were dishes in the sink that weren't there when we left. It was quieter than it should have been, too still. Like someone had been holding their breath, waiting for us to come home. Daniel was behind me, carrying Noah in the car seat. Mia was asleep against my shoulder, her tiny fist curled into my sweater. We'd just finished our first real trip since the twins were born. 4 days at a cabin 2 hours north of Toronto. No Wi-Fi, no schedule, just us. It was supposed to be restful. Healing, even. I should have known better. "Paula?" Daniel called from the entryway. "Your mom's car is in the driveway." I froze. My mom, Keiko Tanaka. The woman I'd given a spare key to, because she insisted that someone needed to check on the house while we were gone. Just in case, she'd said. What if a pipe bursts? What if someone breaks in? I didn't think she'd actually use it. I set Mia's diaper bag on the couch and walked toward the back of the house, toward the guest room. The room that had become my office, my sanctuary, the place where I kept the things that mattered most. And that's when I saw it. The room was empty. Not messy, not rearranged, empty. The spot where my grandmother's desk had sat for the last 8 years, the mahogany writing desk with the carved legs and the drawer that stuck just a little when you pulled it, was gone. The matching vanity, the one with the oval mirror and the small brass handles, was gone too. In their place was a flat-pack furniture set, cheap particle board. The kind you buy at IKEA and assemble with an Allen key. A generic desk, a bland mirror, beige. I stood in the doorway, staring, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Trying to make my brain catch up to what my eyes were telling me. Surprise! I spun around. My mother was standing in the hallway, hands clasped in front of her chest, smiling like she'd just wrapped the perfect birthday gift. "What?" My voice came out shaky. "What did you do?" "I helped," she said brightly. "I knew you'd been so stressed with the babies, and this room was just so cluttered and dark, so I cleared it out. Got rid of all that dusty old junk and brought in something modern. Clean lines, functional. Don't you love it?" I couldn't speak. My throat had closed. Daniel appeared behind me, still holding Noah's car seat. He looked at the room, then at my mother, then at me. "Keiko," he said carefully, "where's Paula's desk?" "Oh, that old thing?" She waved a hand. "I donated it. The vanity, too." They were taking up so much space, and honestly, they made the room look like a museum. This is so much better. Before I tell you what my mom said when I asked where my grandmother's desk went, pause for a second and comment where you're watching from. City or country, I read them all. And if you've ever had a relative cross a boundary and call it helping, hit like and subscribe, because this story gets worse before it gets better. I finally found my voice. It didn't sound like mine. It sounded hollow, distant. "Where is it?" It wasn't a question. My mother blinked, her smile faltering just a little. "I told you, I donated it to Value Village. They picked it up yesterday morning. Paula, you're not upset, are you? I did this for you." The room tilted. I grabbed the doorframe to steady myself. "You donated my grandmother's desk." "And the vanity," she added, like that was supposed to help. "They were matching, so it made sense to get rid of both. Now you have a cohesive set. See? The desk even has a keyboard tray." I looked at the flat-pack furniture, the desk with the keyboard tray, the bland mirror. The beige, soulless, replaceable garbage that was sitting in the spot where my grandmother's hands had once rested. Daniel's voice cut through the fog. "Keiko." That furniture was an inheritance. It was hand-carved, irreplaceable. My mother's expression shifted. Not guilt, irritation. "It was old," she said. and it was making the house look dated. "Paula, you're a mother now. You need modern, practical things, not dusty antiques that take up space." I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process the fact that my mother, my own mother, had walked into my home, looked at the last physical pieces of my grandmother I had left, and decided they were trash. "You had no right," I whispered. She frowned. "I had the key. You gave it to me. I was helping." "You weren't helping." My voice was rising now, shaking. "You were erasing her." "Don't be dramatic. Get out." The words came out before I could stop them. Daniel's hand was on my shoulder, steady, grounding. "Paula," my mother started. "Get out." She stared at me, shocked, like I'd just slapped her. Then her face hardened. "Fine," she said, "but don't come crying to me when you realize I was trying to do something nice." She grabbed her purse from the counter and walked toward the door, stopped, turned back. "And for the record," she said, "you're overreacting. It's just furniture." The door slammed. I stood there, staring at the empty space where my grandmother's desk used to be, and I realized something. My mother didn't just donate my furniture. She donated my grief, my memories, the only tangible proof I had left that my grandmother existed. And she thought I should thank her for it. I need you to understand something before this goes any further. Those pieces weren't just furniture. They weren't just old wood or antiques or whatever dismissive term my mother used to justify what she did. They were my grandmother. They were the last physical connection I had to the woman who raised me, when my own mother was too busy climbing the social ladder to notice I existed. My grandmother, my father's mother, died when I was 23, pancreatic cancer, 6 months from diagnosis to gone. I was in my final year at U of T, drowning in essays and exams, and she spent her last weeks making sure I knew I was loved. She left me 2 things, a letter and those 2 pieces of furniture. The letter is in a safety deposit box now. I can't read it anymore without falling apart. But the furniture, the desk and the vanity, those I could touch, those I could use. Those reminded me every single day that someone had believed in me unconditionally. The desk was where she wrote letters, real letters, with fountain pens and careful script. She'd sit there every Sunday morning and write to relatives in Japan, to old friends scattered across Canada, to me when I moved into residence at university. I still have a box of those letters somewhere, her handwriting looping across cream-colored stationery, telling me about her garden, her book club, the weather. The vanity was where she kept her jewelry, not expensive stuff. Costume pearls, a jade bracelet, a few pairs of earrings, but she treated them like treasures. I remember sitting on the floor as a kid, watching her pin her hair up in the mirror, the way she'd dab perfume on her wrists and behind her ears. Lavender and something else I could never name. When she died, my mother didn't want the furniture. Too ethnic, she'd said. Doesn't match my aesthetic. So I took it, drove a U-Haul across the city, carried those pieces up 3 flights of stairs into my tiny apartment, and made space for them even though I barely had room for a bed. When Daniel and I got married, the desk and vanity came with me. When we bought our house in North York, nothing fancy, just a small, semi-detached with a backyard, they went in the guest room, my office, the place where I worked, where I wrote, where I felt closest to her. And my mother donated them to Value Village, like they were trash she found in a garage sale. I didn't cry right away. I think I was too shocked. I stood in that empty room, staring at the cheap particle board replacement, and felt something crack inside me. Daniel was the one who moved first. He set Noah's car seat down gently, walked over, and wrapped his arms around me. "We'll get them back," he said quietly. "How?" My voice sounded strange. Flat. "She donated them yesterday. They're probably already on the floor. Someone probably bought them already." Then we'll find whoever bought them, he said. We'll call Value Village. We'll explain. We'll offer money. We'll do whatever it takes. I wanted to believe him, but all I could think about was some stranger walking through a thrift store, seeing my grandmother's desk and thinking, oh, that's nice. $10? Sure. Mia started crying. She'd woken up, disoriented, sensing the tension in the room. I picked her up, held her against my chest, and tried to breathe. Daniel pulled out his phone. I'm calling Value Village right now. Which location did she say? She didn't, I said. He stared at me. She didn't tell you which one? I shook my head. She just said she donated it. She probably doesn't even remember. There are, 6 Value Village locations in the GTA? Daniel was already Googling. We'll call all of them? Right now? But even as he said it, I knew that by the time we figured out which location, by the time we explained the situation, by the time someone actually checked the back room or the sales floor, someone would have already taken them. And my mother would never understand why that mattered. Because to her, they were just furniture, old, dated, ethnic. To me, they were the only proof I had that my grandmother had loved me. I need to rewind for a second and explain how we got here. How my mother ended up with a key to our house in the first place. It was my fault. I know that. Daniel didn't want to give it to her. He'd said as much 3 weeks ago when I floated the idea. Your mom doesn't respect boundaries, he'd said carefully. We were sitting at the kitchen table, twins finally asleep, the house quiet for the first time in hours. Every time she comes over, she rearranges something. She criticizes the way you organize the pantry. She tells you how to parent. I know, I'd said, but we're going to be 2 hours away for 4 days. What if something happens? What if there's a leak or a break-in or... Then we call a neighbor, Daniel said, or we come home early. We don't give your mom unsupervised access to our house. But I'd overruled him because I was exhausted. Because the twins were 6 months old, and I hadn't slept more than 3 hours in a row since they were born. Because part of me, some stupid, hopeful part, thought that maybe, just maybe, my mother would respect the trust I was giving her. I handed her the key the day before we left. Just in case, I'd said, you don't need to come by unless there's an emergency. We'll be back Monday. She'd smiled, kissed my cheek, said, of course, sweetheart. Have a wonderful time. You deserve a break. I should have known better. My mother has been helping me my entire life, helping me pick clothes that flatter my figure, helping me choose a university program that was practical, helping me plan my wedding because I didn't have her eye for elegance. Every time, it was framed as love, as care, as a mother knowing what's best for her daughter. And every time, it was control. When I was 12, she threw out my favorite hoodie because it was ratty. When I was 16, she rearranged my bedroom while I was at school because it was cluttered. When I was 20, she called my first boyfriend and told him I wasn't interested anymore because he, quote, wasn't ambitious enough. I never fought back. I learned early that fighting my mother meant being labeled ungrateful, dramatic, difficult. So I smiled, thanked her, let her believe she was helping. But this was different. This wasn't a hoodie. This wasn't a bedroom rearrangement. This was my grandmother. This was grief made tangible. This was the one thing I'd asked her, implicitly, to leave alone. And she'd looked at it and decided it didn't fit her vision of what my life should look like. Daniel hung up the phone. His jaw was tight. Well, I asked. I called 4 Value Villages, he said. None of them have a record of a donation matching that description. One said they don't log items until they're processed, which could take days. Another said if it was picked up yesterday, it might not even be in the system yet. I closed my eyes. So we have no idea where it is. Not yet, Daniel said, but we're not done. I'm going to call your mom back. She's going to tell me exactly which location she used, and exactly when the pickup happened. She won't answer, I said. She's mad at me for kicking her out. Then I'll keep calling until she does. He pulled out his phone again, but before he could dial, it buzzed in his hand. A text. From my mother. Daniel read it out loud, his voice flat. I hope you're happy. I spent 3 hours cleaning your house, and this is the thanks I get. You're being completely unreasonable. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was so perfectly, painfully her. No apology, no acknowledgement, just blame, just me, once again, being the problem. Daniel's voice dropped. Paula, do you want me to handle this? I looked at him. My husband, the man who'd spent 8 years watching my mother chip away at my boundaries, my confidence, my sense of self. The man who'd bitten his tongue 1,000 times to keep the peace. No, I said, I'll do it. I took his phone and typed out a reply. Mom, which value village did you use? I need the location and the time of pickup. Now. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, why does it matter? I already replaced it. You should be thanking me, not interrogating me. I stared at the message, at the casual cruelty of it, at the complete absence of understanding. And something inside me finally snapped. I called her. Not texted, called. Because I needed to hear her voice. I needed to know if there was even a shred of remorse in it. She picked up on the 4th ring. Paula. Her tone was clipped, cold. I don't appreciate being spoken to like that. Which value village, I said. No preamble, no apology. I need to know which location, and I need to know now. There was a pause. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. Then she sighed, long and theatrical, like I was the most exhausting person she'd ever had to deal with. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? She said. I got you new furniture. Better furniture. You should be thanking me. Mom, my voice cracked. I hated that it did. That desk was Grandma's. It was the last thing I had of hers. You had no right to get rid of it. Oh, don't be so sentimental, she said dismissively. Your grandmother wouldn't want you clinging to old junk. She'd want you to move forward, to be practical. Something hot and sharp twisted in my chest. You didn't know her, I said quietly. You never even tried to know her. Excuse me? Her voice pitched up, offended. I was married to her son for 30 years. I knew her perfectly well. You tolerated her, I shot back. You complained about her cooking. You rolled your eyes when she spoke Japanese. You made fun of the way she dressed. Don't pretend you cared about her now that she's gone. Silence. For a second, I thought she might actually acknowledge it. Might actually admit that she'd spent decades treating my grandmother like an inconvenience. But this was my mother, and my mother doesn't apologize. I don't have to listen to this, she said. I did you a favor, and you're being incredibly ungrateful. If you want to throw a tantrum over some old furniture, that's your choice. But don't expect me to enable it. Which value, village? I was shaking now. Daniel's hand was on my shoulder, steadying me. Another sigh. The one on Ellesmere? Happy now? What time did they pick it up? I don't know, Paula. Sometime Thursday morning. They sent a truck. I wasn't keeping track of the exact minute. Thursday morning. That was over 24 hours ago. Anything could have happened by now. It could have been processed, priced, put on the floor. It could have been sold. It could be gone. I need you to understand something, I said, my voice shaking. What you did wasn't helping. It was theft. It was cruel. and I will never, ever trust you with a key to my house again." "Theft?" She laughed. Actually laughed. "Paula, you're being ridiculous. It was sitting in a spare room collecting dust. I improved your space. If you can't see that, then maybe you need to talk to someone about why you're so attached to the past." I hung up. I didn't say goodbye, didn't give her the satisfaction of a final word. I just ended the call and stood there, staring at the phone in my hand, feeling like I'd just run a marathon. Daniel took the phone from me gently and set it on the counter. "Ellesmere," he said. "That's the one near the Scarborough Town Center, right?" I nodded. "Okay," he said. "We're going. Right now." "Daniel, it's almost 6. They close at 9. We have the twins." "We'll bring the twins," he said. "We'll strap them in the car, drive to Value Village, and we'll find your desk. We're not giving up." I looked at him, at this man who'd married into my messy, complicated family and never once made me feel like I was too much, who'd listened to my mother's passive-aggressive comments for years and never lost his temper, who was now ready to drive across the city with 2 screaming 6-month-olds because he knew what that desk meant to me. "Okay," I whispered, "let's go." We loaded the twins into the car, Mia fussing, Noah already asleep again, and drove toward Scarborough. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the highway, and I stared out the window, trying not to think about what we'd find when we got there. Trying not to think about the possibility that we were already too late. The Value Village on Ellesmere was exactly what you'd expect: fluorescent lights, rows of clothing racks, the faint smell of donated laundry detergent and old books. A handwritten sign near the entrance read, "Friday Special, 50% off all green-tagged items." I pushed the double stroller through the entrance, Mia gnawing on a teething ring, Noah wide-eyed and taking in the chaos. Daniel was already at the customer service counter, explaining the situation to a teenager with blue hair and a name tag that said Jordan. "So your mom donated it yesterday?" Jordan asked, tapping on a keyboard. "Thursday morning," Daniel said. "A desk and a vanity, mahogany, hand-carved. The desk had a drawer that stuck a little. The vanity had an oval mirror." Jordan clicked around for a minute, frowning at the screen. "Okay, so we did have a pickup scheduled for Thursday morning in North York. But it doesn't say what was picked up, just says furniture, Mesk. Can you check if it's been processed?" I asked, stepping up beside Daniel. My voice sounded more desperate than I wanted it to. "If it's been put on the floor yet?" "I can check the back," Jordan said, "but we get like 50 donations a day. If it came in Thursday morning, it might still be waiting to be tagged and priced. Or it might already be out." "Can we look in the back?" Daniel asked. Jordan hesitated. "Technically, customers aren't allowed back there, but..." They glanced at the twins. At my face, which I'm sure looked as wrecked as I felt. "Let me ask my manager." They disappeared through a door marked "Employees Only," and I stood there, gripping the stroller handle, trying to keep my breathing steady. "We're going to find it," Daniel said quietly. I nodded, but I didn't believe him. A minute later, Jordan came back with an older woman, maybe 50, gray hair pulled into a tight bun, name tag reading, "Sharon, manager." "You're looking for furniture that was donated yesterday?" Sharon asked, her tone brisk but not unkind. "Yes," I said, "a desk and a vanity. They were my grandmother's. My mother donated them without my permission." Sharon's expression softened just a fraction. "I'm sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, once something's been donated, it's legally ours. We can't just pull it off the floor and return it, even if it was a mistake." "I'm not asking you to return it," I said quickly. "I'm asking for the chance to buy it back. I'll pay whatever you're charging, double if that's what it takes." Sharon studied me for a moment, then she nodded. "All right, Let me take you to the back, but I can't make any promises. If it's already been sold, there's nothing I can do." We followed her through the employee door into a massive warehouse space filled with bins, racks, and shelves stacked with donations. It smelled like dust and cardboard and something faintly sweet. Furniture was piled everywhere. Tables, chairs, shelves, dressers, all waiting to be sorted and priced. "Furniture donations from Thursday would be over here," Sharon said, leading us to a section near the back. "But, again, some of it might already be out front." I scanned the piles, my heart pounding. There were dozens of pieces, maybe hundreds. Cheap IKEA bookshelves, scratched coffee tables, pressed wood dressers with missing handles. And then I saw it. The vanity. My grandmother's vanity, with the oval mirror and the brass handles, shoved between a folding chair and a plastic storage bin. "There," I said, my voice breaking. "That's it. That's hers." Daniel was already moving toward it, pulling it free from the pile. The mirror was intact. The brass handles were still there. It was dusty, a little scuffed, but it was hers. "Okay," Sharon said, pulling out a pricing gun. "I can sell this to you for $40. "Done," I said immediately. "What about the desk? It should have been with this." Sharon frowned. "Let me check the floor. If it's not back here, it's probably already been tagged and put out." She led us back through the door, into the main store, and I pushed the stroller toward the furniture section, scanning every surface, every corner. And that's when I saw it. The desk, my grandmother's desk, sitting in the middle of the furniture section, a bright green tag stuck to the side. And standing next to it, running her hand along the edge, was a woman in her 60s. She was smiling. Before I tell you what happened with that woman and my desk, be honest. Would you have fought for it, or would you have let it go? Drop yes or no in the comments. And if you think my mom was out of line, hit like and subscribe, because the confrontation gets intense. I froze. The woman was older than me, maybe mid-60s, silver hair cut short, wearing a purple cardigan and jeans. She was running her fingers along the carved edge of the desk, the way you touch something you're already imagining in your home. My desk. My grandmother's desk. I didn't think. I just moved. "Excuse me," I said, my voice coming out louder than I intended. I was pushing the stroller toward her, weaving between racks of clothes and furniture displays. "Excuse me, that desk?" The woman looked up, surprised. "Oh, hello," she said pleasantly. "Isn't it gorgeous? I've been looking for something like this for months. The craftsmanship is incredible." "I know," I said, breathless. It was my grandmother's. It was donated by mistake. I'm here to buy it back." Her smile faltered. "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I was just about to take it to the register." My stomach dropped. "Please," I said. "I know how this sounds, but that desk, it's an heirloom. It's all I have left of her. My mother donated it without my permission. I'll pay you for it, whatever you want." The woman's expression shifted. Sympathy, maybe, but also something else. Uncertainty. "I understand that's difficult," she said slowly, "but I found it first. I've been shopping here every week for 2 months looking for a writing desk exactly like this. I can't just—" "I'll give you $200, I blurted out. "Right now. Cash." Daniel touched my arm gently. "Paula." $300, I said, ignoring him. My voice was shaking. "Please, it's not about the money. It's about my grandmother. It's about the fact that my mother threw away something irreplaceable, and if I don't get it back right now, I'll never." I couldn't finish the sentence. My throat closed up. The woman looked at me, at the stroller where Mia was starting to fuss, at Daniel, who was standing beside me with his hand still on my arm, steady and quiet. Then she looked back at the desk. "How much is it priced at?" she asked softly. I glanced at the green tag. $60. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. "I have a daughter," she said, "and I have things from my mother, things I'd be devastated to lose, so I understand." My heart lurched. "So you'll—" "But," she continued, her tone firmer now, "I've been looking for a desk like this for a very long time, and I was here first. I'm sorry, but I'm going to buy it." The floor tilted under me. "Wait," Daniel said, stepping forward. "Ma'am, I completely understand your position, but this desk isn't just valuable to my wife. It's irreplaceable. We're not trying to take something from you. We're trying to recover something that was stolen from us." "It wasn't stolen," the woman said, her voice apologetic but firm. "It was donated, legally, and now it's for sale, and I'm purchasing it." "Please," I whispered, "I'm begging you." She looked at me again, and for a second, I thought she might change her mind. I thought I saw something soften in her expression. But then she shook her head. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I really am." She picked up the price tag, started to move toward the register, and Sharon stepped between us. "Actually," Sharon said, her voice calm but commanding, "I need to pull this item for inspection." The woman stopped. "Inspection?" "Store policy," Sharon said smoothly. "When there's a dispute over a high-value item, we have to verify the condition and confirm the pricing before it can be sold. It'll take about 30 minutes. The woman frowned. "It's $60. That's not high value." "It's antique furniture," Sharon said. "That makes it high value by our standards. I'll need to take it to the back, have our furniture specialist take a look, and then we can proceed with the sale. You're welcome to wait, or you can come back tomorrow." I stared at Sharon. She wasn't looking at me, but I could see the slight twitch at the corner of her mouth. She was buying me time. The woman looked between Sharon and the desk, clearly frustrated. Then she sighed. "Fine," she said. "I'll wait. 30 minutes." 30 minutes, Sharon confirmed. She gestured to Daniel. "Can you help me move this to the back?" Daniel didn't hesitate. He grabbed one end of the desk, Sharon grabbed the other, and they carried it toward the employee door. I stood there, staring after them, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. The woman was still standing there, arms crossed, watching them disappear with the desk. "I hope you get it back," she said quietly. "I really do. But if the inspection clears, I'm still buying it." Then she walked away, toward the front of the store, and I was left standing in the middle of Value Village with a double stroller and the sinking realization that 30 minutes might not be enough. Sharon led us into the back room and set the desk down carefully between two shelving units. "All right," she said, turning to me. "Here's the situation. That woman is within her rights to purchase this. It's on the floor, it's priced, and she found it first. I can't legally stop her from buying it." "But you just said—" "I bought you time," Sharon interrupted. 30 minutes. That's all I can do. What you do with that time is up to you." Daniel looked at me, then at Sharon. "What are our options?" Sharon crossed her arms. "You can try to negotiate with her, offer her more money, appeal to her sense of empathy, or," she paused, "you can buy it first." "But she was there first," I said. "She was standing there first," Sharon corrected. "But she hadn't paid for it yet. And technically, if someone else gets to the register before her and pays for it, the sale is valid." I stared at her. "You're saying I should cut in front of her?" "I'm saying," Sharon said carefully, "that if someone were to purchase this desk in the next few minutes while she's browsing the clothing section, there would be nothing I could do about it. The sale would be final." My pulse quickened. "But that's—" "Exactly what she would do if your positions were reversed," Sharon said bluntly. "Look, I feel for you. I really do. But this is a thrift store. First come, first served. If you want that desk, you need to move fast." Daniel was already pulling out his wallet. How much? $60, Sharon said. But it's green tagged. That means it's 50% off today. So $30. $30. My grandmother's hand-carved mahogany desk, the one she'd written letters at for 40 years, was being sold for $30. Ring it up, I said. Sharon nodded and walked toward a register near the back. Daniel followed her, pulling out his credit card. I stood next to the desk, my hands resting on the surface, and felt something break open inside me. Relief, grief, anger, all of it at once. This was my grandmother's desk. I'd sat at this desk as a kid, watching her write. I'd inherited it when she died. I'd kept it safe for 8 years. And it had taken my mother less than 24 hours to throw it away. Transactions complete, Sharon said, handing Daniel a receipt. The desk is yours. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. What about the woman? Daniel asked. The one who was going to buy it? Sharon shrugged. She'll be disappointed. But that's how it goes sometimes. Someone else got here first. She looked at me. You'll need to arrange pickup or take it with you now. We can't hold it. We'll take it now, Daniel said immediately. I'll bring the car around to the loading dock. Sharon nodded and disappeared toward the front of the store. I stood there, alone with the desk and the twins, and ran my hand along the carved edge. The wood was smooth, worn soft by decades of use. I could see a faint water ring on the corner, probably from one of my grandmother's teacups. A small scratch near the drawer pull, from when I'd tried to open it with a pen as a kid. It was here, it was real, it was mine again. And then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned. The woman in the purple cardigan was standing in the doorway, staring at the desk, at me. You bought it, she said. Her voice wasn't angry, it was flat, empty. I did, I said quietly. She was silent for a long moment. Then she shook her head. I thought we had an agreement, that I was waiting for the inspection. There was no agreement, I said, my voice steadier now. You were going to buy something that didn't belong in a thrift store in the first place. I bought back something that was taken from me. That's not how this works, she said, her voice rising. You can't just... I can, I said, and I did. I'm sorry you're disappointed. But this desk was my grandmother's, and I'm taking it home. She stared at me, her face flushed. Then she turned and walked away without another word. I stood there, shaking, feeling the weight of what I'd just done. Daniel came back a few minutes later with the car pulled up to the loading dock. Together, we lifted the desk and the vanity into the back of our SUV, wedging them carefully between the stroller and the diaper bags. As we drove home, the twins finally asleep in their car seats, I stared out the window at the darkening sky and thought about my mother, about the fact that she still didn't understand what she'd done, and about the fact that I was finally done letting her get away with it. We got home just after 8. The desk and vanity were back in the guest room, my office, right where they belonged. Daniel had spent 20 minutes wiping them down, checking for scratches, making sure everything was intact. The vanity mirror had a small chip in the corner that hadn't been there before, but otherwise, they were fine. They were home. I should have felt relief, maybe even victory. But all I felt was exhausted, hollowed out, like I'd just fought a war over something that should have never been a battlefield in the first place. Daniel was putting the twins to bed. I could hear him in the nursery, singing softly to Noah, the same lullaby he sang every night. Mia was already asleep, her tiny fist curled under her chin. I sat at my grandmother's desk and opened the drawer, the one that stuck a little when you pulled it. Inside was a stack of old letters, the ones I'd kept there for years. Letters my grandmother had written to me during university. Letters I read when I missed her, when I needed to hear her voice, even if it was just ink on paper. I pulled one out, The envelope was yellowed, the corners soft from handling. I didn't open it. I just held it, running my thumb along the edge, and felt something crack open in my chest. My phone buzzed on the desk, a text from my mother. "I heard you went to Value Village and caused a scene. Very mature, Paula." I stared at the message, at the casual cruelty of it, at the fact that even now, even after everything, she couldn't just apologize. I didn't reply. I set the phone down, face down, and went back to the letter. But 2 minutes later, it buzzed again. "You're being ridiculous. It was just furniture. You need to let this go." And then again. "I'm your mother. I was trying to help. The least you could do is acknowledge that." Something inside me snapped. I picked up the phone and called her. Not texted. Called. She answered on the second ring, her voice clipped and defensive. "I don't appreciate being ignored, Paula." "You don't get to do this," I said. My voice was calm, too calm. "You don't get to invade my home, throw away my things, and then act like I'm the problem for being upset." "I improved your home," she shot back. "I spent 3 hours cleaning and organizing, and you threw me out like I was some kind of criminal." "You donated my grandmother's furniture," I said, without asking, without even considering that it might matter to me, "and now you're mad because I went and got it back." "You embarrassed yourself," she said, "running around a thrift store like some kind of..." "Like some kind of what, Mom?" My voice was rising now. "Like someone who cares about the people she's lost? Like someone who doesn't want her mother erasing the last pieces of her family?" There was a pause, then her voice came back, colder. "Your grandmother was my family too, Paula. I was married to her son. I knew her just as well as you did." "No," I said quietly, "you didn't. You tolerated her. You made fun of her accent. You complained about her cooking. You rolled your eyes every time she tried to share something about her culture. You made it very clear that she was an inconvenience." "That's not fair." "It's true," I said, "and you know it. You never respected her when she was alive, and you don't respect her now that she's gone. That's why you thought it was okay to throw away her things. Because to you, they were just old furniture, but to me, they were her." Silence. For a long moment, I thought she might actually acknowledge it, might actually say something real. But this was my mother, and my mother doesn't do real. "You're being dramatic," she said finally. "This is exactly why I didn't tell you what I was doing. I knew you'd overreact." "You didn't tell me because you knew I'd say no," I said. "You knew I'd stop you. So you waited until I was gone. And you did it anyway. That's not helping, Mom. That's control." "I'm your mother." "And I'm an adult," I interrupted. "I'm 31 years old, I have a husband, I have children, I have a home, and you don't get to come into that home and rearrange my life because you think you know better." "So what are you saying?" Her voice was sharp now, defensive. "You don't want me in your life anymore?" I closed my eyes. This was it. The moment I'd been avoiding for years. The moment where I finally drew a line and refused to let her cross it. "I'm saying you don't get a key anymore," I said. "I'm saying you don't get unsupervised access to my house. I'm saying that if you want to see me or Daniel or the twins, you ask first. And if I say no, you respect that." "That's ridiculous." "It's a boundary," I said. "And if you can't respect it, then yes, maybe you don't get to be in my life the way you have been." The line went quiet. I could hear her breathing, could almost hear the gears turning as she tried to figure out how to spin this, how to make me the villain. "Fine," she said finally. Her voice was ice. "If that's how you want it. But don't come crying to me when you need help with those babies and you're overwhelmed. Don't expect me to drop everything because you suddenly realize you can't do it alone." "I won't," I said. "Goodbye, Mom." I hung up before she could respond. And then I sat there, staring at my grandmother's desk, and let myself cry. Not because I regretted it, but because it hurt. Because setting boundaries with the person who was supposed to love you unconditionally always hurts, even when you know it's the right thing to do. Daniel appeared in the doorway a few minutes later. He didn't say anything, just crossed the room, wrapped his arms around me, and held on. "She is never going to apologize," I whispered. "She's never going to understand." "I know," he said softly, "but you did the right thing." I nodded against his chest, even though it didn't feel right. It felt messy, painful, like something had been ripped out of me and wouldn't ever fully heal. But the desk was back, the vanity was back, my grandmother's things were safe. And my mother would never have the power to take them from me again. If you've ever had to set boundaries with a parent who refuses to respect you, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you've made it this far without subscribing, I walked away from toxic family. I can handle you walking away too. But it would have been nice. Just saying.